Hey, what's up, Trevor? This is a quick demo video for you for your Jawa's Junkyard Teenage Dirtbag. Hey, what's up, Trevor? We're going to go over your Jawa's Junkyard Teenage Dirtbag that I just got done today. This is installed with a Proffie. It's got a removable battery setup. There are a lot of very unique things about this Saber. One of them standing out to me is the switches. All right, so this came with an extra gold piece. Let me see if I can find it here. I've got it in your box. So you could swap out these gold pieces. You could have the static one like this, or you could have this one that's meant to have brass tactiles in it. I wasn't exactly sure how that's supposed to work. Even on the static one, there's indentations for brass tactiles, but you know, they're surrounded by metal. So after putting all the Kapton tape and everything you'd have to put on there in order to keep it from touching any metal, it would be very tough to do that. So what I opted to do was, since this switch box is on a magnet here, which pops in and off, I decided to make this the switch box. So I've got a tactile switch underneath here in the front, underneath here in the back, and just kind of throw that plate on. It's held in but with magnets. You tap it here, that's power. Back here is auxiliary. That's how we operate that. All right, so it's a bit of a unique setup. Every time I talk to Leon about some switches he comes out with, I'm like, hey man, those switches were a little wild. He's kind of like, hold my beer, watch these. So that's what we came up with for that power auxiliary. All right, this is running a Carl Chen V4 NeoPixel connector in there, so you can see that here, but we'll light that up here in a second. And then to get to your chassis, you just want to unscrew your handle. You can see here, it's just the battery and the speaker, right? Because there's the handle itself is pretty short. It stops about right there, and the speaker comes to here. One modification I had to do, well, two modifications I had to do to the actual handle. I had to take this off. I'm not going to take it off now. It's there pretty tight, but I had to take it off, file down some of the excess threading so it wasn't inside of the handle. It didn't interfere with the chassis. That was not a big deal. This piece though, the pommel was solid aluminum. All right, this started off as a solid block of aluminum. And when you put that, like if you take this Saber, you line up the handle with it, you take this solid block of aluminum and you put it right here, you can see that it interferes with the speaker. So it would make the speaker vibrate, which is exactly what it was doing. So what I did was I took this out to my lathe and I took off a significant amount. I probably took off just over half of that material in there to make it hollow. So this butts up against the speaker, but the speaker drum does not rattle up against the inside of this pommel. All right, so that's what I did there. So we're gonna go ahead and put this back on. This is your chassis. So you have a removable battery setup, spring side for the negative side of your battery. No kill switch. The kill switch, or just killing the board on this guy, is taking the battery out. So you're gonna take off the handle to get to anything, you can just take the battery out. That's the type of setup that this one kind of needed because it was a very tight build. All right, if you look in there, you can't tell, but this board is at an angle. It's kind of, if you looked at the Saber sideways, the board is up like that at an angle. All right, so you can get to your SD card and your micro USB from right there. You don't have to pull this out. In fact, this chassis is adhesed into the Saber, so it stays in place, and you can pull out your SD card and micro USB there. For right now, this is running my sound font, and there is a copy of the config that I used on the SD card, so you can build from that. All right, so we're gonna take a battery, take your battery spring side for the negative side of your battery, push it all the way down, and then click it in. I'm gonna take our handle and slap it on. Tighten it down all the way, make sure your pommel is tightened down all the way, and then you can come right here and hit power. And now you got your LEDs all lit up. Auxiliary. And tap it to turn it off. All right, this takes a 7/8 inch blade, that being your blade retention screw right there. So we'll just put a blade in here real quick. hold it down and tighten that blade retention down. There isn't a whole lot of material for that blade retention to bite down on. So don't crank down super tough on it or you're gonna strip out that hole. It is barely any aluminum material there at all. All right, but when you get that tight, it does light up a blade very well. The blade lock up. Now, of course, blaster bolts is just tapping auxiliary. If you want blade lock up, you have to hold auxiliary down and hit the saber. All right. This does just have one sound font on it for now, but if you wanted to switch to the next one, if you had multiple, of course, you just tap auxiliary as well. Apologize. Okay, and to play your soundtracks, a long press on the power. And another long press to turn it off. Whoops. Another long press to turn it off, just like that. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take the blade out of here. Remember, please be gentle with this blade retention screw. Not a lot of material. There's probably 2 threads worth of material in that guy for that grub screw to go into, so not much. All right. We're gonna unscrew this. You probably will need a tool to take the battery out. Do it from the positive side, which is over here by the speaker. I just use the back of my tweezers and I pop the battery out like that. All right, but that is basically your Teenage Dirtbag Anakin Skywalker Saber from Jawa's Junkyard. I believe this is from the animated series. I'm not sure about that. But let me know if you have any questions and I will get this out in the mail to you Monday. Thanks, Trevor.